right, well, good morning. Great to have you all out this morning. Appreciate you giving up on Saturday. Hopefully the fall wasn't too bad. I heard a couple of you talking about running into a little bit of it driving in. And we'll talk a little bit more about the weather in a bit. But really excited you're here today. I was just thinking this is the 6th time, I believe, correct me, other offices if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is our 6th time of doing the KenTenn. We started back in 2010 over at Clarksville, and we've kind of moved it back and forth between Kentucky and Tennessee. The three main host offices, of course, are our office, National Weather Service, Paducah, National Weather Service in Nashville, and Louisville, Kentucky. And so it was our time to do it. We had the Great American Eclipse. This was the Emergency Operations Center for that event last August, and I thought, wow, this would be a great facility to do the KenTenn when we're up to host it next year. So here we are. We have a lot of good topics for you today. I think you'll really enjoy it. Really a diverse set of topics, different things, and different sectors, weather enterprise, National Weather Service, the media. We got the Fort Campbell Weather Squadron, and Western Kentucky University has been a good partner in our KenTenns for the year. So a lot of good stuff coming up. And it's kind of special to me. This is actually my hometown. I haven't even introduced myself. Those of you that I haven't met, my name is Rick Shanklin, and I'm with the National Weather Service in Paducah, Kentucky. But I'm actually originally from this city, Hopkinsville. And it brings back some memories, not only some of the big events that have occurred through the years, but I was thinking I bought my first weather radio back in the late 1970s. Still have it, Pat. No, actually, I don't probably do. But in the late 1970s, there's a place here in Hopkinsville called Randolph and Hill Electronics. It's right down the road here now, and so it's kind of neat thinking back about that. We have a little bit of weather coming in Monday, and a lot of you have already been talking about this. And I was trying to convince maybe Pat to talk a little bit more detail about it later, but in case you haven't seen the outlook for Monday, we did an email blast yesterday from our office on it, but we are in an enhanced risk for where we sit here this morning and pointing southward basically. And this Kentucky mountain, you see the southern extent of it on the Tennessee map. So, very relevant for why we're here, which, ultimately the reason we're here is to make people more weather aware and more weather ready. That's the bottom line, is saving lives, protecting those in harm's way, and that's really what this morning is all about in the end. So again, appreciate you being here this morning, and at this time I'm going to turn it over to Pat Spoden, our Science and Operations Officer out of Paducah, and he's got some good stuff to share with you.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. We'll talk about this event later, I guess. I'm told. Otherwise, Christine said I have more than a half hour to talk today. Basically, what I want to talk about is a little storm that made through our area. Let's say it wasn't totally expected. Like all the thunderstorms that occur, we always expect all of them to occur exactly where they do. But this is a look. I don't know if we can turn that second bank of, yeah, we need that second bank of lights down. Anybody? No. But this is a picture from the office. That's better. So you have the mothership coming in, and by this time we're already warning well ahead of the storm. At this time, it was moving about 70 miles an hour in late June. So basically, this is where we start. This is at 1:30, 1:40 in the afternoon. Got cluster storms moving into Nashville's area. We're like, okay, good. Let's get to them. We don't have anything. We're clear. We're looking good. But there's little cluster storms up there in Iowa. And the question is, where is this thing going to go? We're always happy to see storms go to our south. It's the way we feel. I'm sure, yeah, you feel the same way. Yeah, exactly. So, again, where's this thing going to go? So first thing you want to do, what are the three things that make thunderstorms live? What are they? No, you can't answer. You should. Come on. Moisture, instability, and lift. Okay, thank you. So first, let's follow the moisture. So let's look at the precipitable waters. This is early in the afternoon. Remember, our cluster of storms is right there, close to the 2-inch mark. This is a measure of how much liquid water is actually in the atmosphere. And voila, where does it go? It comes right down into our area, down into Georgia. I'm not saying that's where it's going to go, but that's probably where it's going to go. This is a real confusing chart, so I'll just put in the most important thing is the line. Okay? In weather, when you're drawing maps, the more lines you have crisscrossing, the worse the weather's going to be. So this is pretty busy. What this actually tells you is this is where the temperatures and moisture are all aligned at about 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere. So again, it's pointing towards us. So one more thing. Moisture transport. This is showing basically the same thing. Where is all the moisture going? So again, you go from Iowa, down to Paducah, down into Alabama. The vectors here are all pointing pretty much right into the line where the storms are. So if you were working in the afternoon, you'd say, well, if they stay together, they're probably going to head down towards Paducah. This is frontogenesis. So here we're looking at where the temperature fields are all coming together. And where the temperature fields are coming together, that creates the lift. Right? Okay, I'm not going to show you any instability plots. It's late June. It's unstable. We're going to get thunderstorms. You can see everything pretty much lines up to tell you where this thing is going to go. So let's see if that's exactly what happens. Go a really slow loop. You'll see the warnings are popping out. Little icons or wind, generally. Heading down towards St. Louis. Doesn't really have its act together yet. But it's real important to see these storms that are out ahead of it. And now it's starting to get together. St. Louis's area, moving down, and all of a sudden it starts to accelerate, and we start getting the 70-mile-an-hour wind reports. And it's also moving at about 70 miles an hour. So we're issuing probably 60-minute warnings, trying to give as much lead time as we possibly can. All the green lines, those are all flood warnings. So lots of rain. And then eventually, kind of misses naturally. You got to get lucky on that one. I was actually up at a festival in Owensboro, and they were concerned, is this thing going to hit us? Thankfully, no, it did not. We'll do a little closer loop here, just around Paducah. We've got those lingering storms. It's still, it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Still can't see it coming. But again, you get those storms developing out ahead of it. The storms are very important to help you to detect where these things are going to go. Remember where all the moisture and the frontogenesis and everything is? These are storms that are able to break through. And so they're kind of showing you where the boundary actually is, even if you can't see it on a particular map or not. And then here it comes. Lots of yellows, a few reds, a couple of tornado warnings issued. Here's a tornado warning there. Did we have any tornadoes on that up there? One. Okay. I assume that was in the warning.
Of course.
Of course it was. Okay. All the tornadoes fall within warnings that we issued. There you go. Anyway, then they're going to issue another watch box for Tennessee going, oh, yeah, something's coming. And basically this thing went all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. So again, seeing these storms develop out ahead of this complex of thunderstorms is very important because, again, there's those few storms that can break through the cap that's out there. It's a few storms that can tell you where this thing is going to go. So pretty much you just point it, and it's going to follow this line. And so, again, it's not unusual to see that, but when you do, it kind of helps to determine, give you that extra confidence that if this thing keeps going, this is where it's going to go. Back in 1995, we had a derecho that moved from west to east, and the same thing. We had storms develop just an isolated line right ahead of it. And again, it was one of those, you get 70, 75 mile an hour winds, a couple tornadoes. tornadoes here and there. So this is the Storm Prediction Center. There's the reports. Start up in Iowa, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. You guys could get some. Maybe those are early in. This could be. These are 24 hours, so it may not be exactly all from the derecho. But the question was, when it first came through, is it actually a derecho by definition? And the decision was yes. We decided to call it one. So here's a look at all the different wind reports. We had some flooding, especially over in Cape Girardeau, but otherwise trees were down pretty much all over the place. Again, I think the peak wind we had was 75 miles an hour, and that was up here in southern Illinois. When that thing starts, it's linear at first. Once it starts to bow, that's probably when you're going to get your strongest winds on the ground right after that. SPC, not exactly a stellar day. You start out the day with a marginal, and you go through the day, you go slight, 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 slight. Oh, yeah, it's going to keep going. So sometimes, you know, you've got all this stuff going on up in the Dakotas. You know, it's a tough job sometimes to figure out exactly where these things are going to go. So what exactly did it do? We at least probably, you know, $300,000, probably more than that in damage alone. And that's just initial damage. When you're talking about trees, the trees themselves have values, and so you could easily go well into the millions when you start knocking down those kind of things. Again, estimated 75-mile-an-hour wind gusts, at least 2 tornadoes, we had flash flooding, widespread power outages, and again, the line of storms moved at 50 to 70 miles an hour, whereas, you know, early in the day, the forecast probably had just a 20% chance of thunderstorms. So you got to be open, you got to be wary, you got to be awake. And I think that's the same thing. We're not obviously not going to see this on Monday, but you always have to be adaptive. Can we change? Because the forecast is going to change. Remember that the atmosphere is a fluid. The fluid is always moving just like a river. And so the storms are going to change. Even when you think you got it under control, Mother Nature always throws you a curveball. So that's all I have. How's that? Not early? Oh.